Hi friends, Neo Toy Story here, and before I launch full bore into this video, I just wanted to say that this isn't my usual practice. I rarely do anything that could be considered promotional. So, full disclosure, I just want to say that this website, printables.com, they have kind of this gamification system, which is kind of fun, honestly. It's pretty low stakes, but basically, when you upload models and stuff, you earn points, prusimeters, and if you get enough of these points from uploading models and makes and just other interactivity with the site, your rank increases, and that provides certain fringe benefits to your account. And I'm level 9 right now, and when I hit level 10, I'll actually be able to title my quote unquote channel, or subsection of the site where all of my models are hosted. So I just wanted to be really clear about that, because one of the uh, objectives in the gamification is I forgot what it's called, like a be a sponsor or be a promoter of printables.com. I can't remember the exact thing, but uh yeah, I wanted to be really upfront about that before I did this video, because I am effectively going to be promoting their website, and I just wanted to say that before I had any knowledge of their gamification system and the rewards and stuff, I chose printables.com out of the various options of sites that you can choose for hosting your 3D print files. So it was a very deliberate choice and had nothing to do with any of the benefits that doing this promotion would entail. But I want to be clear, it is basically a promotional video where I'm supporting their website. I want to say that also, like, this is kind of funny. I'm like showing their competitors while I'm doing a promotional video, but Thingiverse was actually the very first 3D printing site that I ever heard of where you could download STL files for free, and that's probably because of the Maker Verse, Maker Lab, Ultimaker, all the 3D printers, one of the very first sort of mainstream 3D printers that brought 3D printing accessibility to the masses. And then there's this My Mini Factory is another one that's really popular. And then Cults, which I don't really know much about this one. I haven't really explored it too much, but I wanted to say that I did I looked at Thingiverse first before I even learned about printables, which is really interesting. Printables isn't like one of the highest on the search results. Like if you search for, place I can download STL files, usually Thingiverse comes up first, and printables isn't at the top of the list. But personally, I find printables to be just the best overall site out of all the ones that are available, which is why I picked it. And my reasons for that are pretty diverse and complicated, but I think it can mainly be just distilled down into a pretty simple selection of factors. And first and foremost, and this is kind of a stupid one, but also I think it's kind of underappreciated on the modern web, and that's that the UI and the general visual style appeal and usability of the site is like top notch. So like that was the main thing that drew me to it. Like I gotta say, Thingiverse is pretty good, but it's got certain usability issues that really bother me. Like the user interface is the type is really kind of small, and I do like that it has a less commercial feel than most of the others, except for printables. Printables does a lot of promoting their contests and featured models and creators and stuff, so that gives it a little bit of a commercial kind of feel to it, but overall not too bad, and not nearly as bad as these other sites like My Mini Factory and Cults, which just have a far more commercial, like you just see dollar signs all over the front pages, and that's a huge turn off for me for a variety of reasons. Even just like seeing a shopping cart icon kind of raises my hackles. um okay, so what I was gonna do is this is kind of a hybrid video. This is a thing that I just created that I wanted to list on printables.com, and I thought like the best way to really showcase why I like printables so much is to just go over the process of listing an item. Now this item right here. What it is it's a little knob essentially that fits on top of hex metric hex bolts. So this one is particularly for M6, which is a size for those of you who aren't super familiar with metric. And this little diagram on top tells you there's 6 triangles, so that you can tell just by looking at it, it's for M6. And it's very ergonomic. And essentially what it does is it just uh, clips and docks very securely with the top of the M6 bolt, and then provides you with an easy to turn type thing. So anyway, let me show you how simple this is. Another thing I really like about printables, when you're logged in, there's a create button right on the main page. I like that you can see how many Prusa meters you have. Here, this is where I'm talking about, up in this corner. You can see your like account avatar with your level, which is kind of cool. And it's got like language options, so that's nice. And you hit this create button, and immediately you've got, the list of creative options, which is really cool. I'm going to be doing a model. One thing that I have noticed on the site, it's a weird glitch, but occasionally you'll click on like make or something and it will load, and then it will just crash. And you have to click on it again to actually get it to work, which is kind of weird, but not a deal breaker by any means. Um so yeah, this is just so user friendly. It's wonderfully user friendly. So I've got my project files right here for the item that I was just showing you guys. So I'm gonna upload the STL, the Blender, and the latest. I'm gonna make sure I get the right file. The latest SketchUp version, 1343. Yeah, that's right. Okay, so you can just drop all these files right onto this little thing here, and it processes them. Seems pretty efficient. One thing that I don't know why, and this seems to be a idiosyncrasy that specifically has to do with uh, Bamboo Labs G-code files, but I don't know why I haven't been able to upload one to Thingiverse yet, because it always gives an error response, which at first I was kind of irritated, but then I was like, wow, they have some back-end software that's analyzing the G-code to make sure that it's compliant and will actually work. I thought that was actually pretty cool. Okay, so just gonna copy the name here for the model, and then just get rid of my date code here, which that's something if there's time, I will go over at the very end of the video, because I think it's kind of useful. Uh, yeah, so this is all pretty standard stuff, right? Uh, Allows you to turn a standard bolt, bolt into an ergonomic knob. I don't know. I might refine that later at some point. Category selections. And this is one of my pet peeves, actually. I've always had trouble with the categories because it's really hard to find good categories for things, especially when you make a lot of random things that aren't easily categorized. I mean, what is this? A tool? Is it a mechanical part? It could fit into multiple categories too. That's a thing. Learning, engineering. I mean, there's so many possibilities, and I think it's gonna end up basically in tools, even though it's not technically a tool, but it could classify as like a driver. And this tag suggestion is pretty cool. It brings up possible used popular tags. All right, M6. That's not useful. M6. it's a. I'd have to M6 bolt. I guess would probably. I'm gonna do M6 nut also. Cap. Just shooting into the wind here. All right, original model. Probably put something longer in here at some point. And I like to upload a video, and a really cool thing is when you post YouTube links into the description, it automatically runs embed code, which is really cool. I'm just gonna copy the summary because like this is not a super sophisticated item. Right. Okay, this is probably a little boring. Now you can't drag and drop photos here, which is a little bit annoying, but not, once again, not a deal breaker. You can select multiple photos, which is nice. So that's what I'm gonna do. And then one of the really cool features is pretty standard for like a marketplace front end, but you can pick your like champion image, or I don't know what you would call it exactly. But the image, the cover photo, that's what it is. And it's so easy to just like with like one or two clicks to change the cover photo. It's just a really slick system, and I like there's like a little progress bar at the top, which is kind of nice. So it gives you an idea of how quickly everything is loading. And of course, all these other sites they have comparable systems, but maybe not all of them are quite as refined. This one just feels so like designed for a creator, an engineer, someone who's trying to maximize their productivity like I am versus, someone who's more maybe just casual, less engineering or technically oriented. So yeah, that's pretty straightforward. And then down here, it's just got like you can pick the license and you can upload like other files, which is cool, info and stuff like that. And if you're able to upload the G code, Um, then it adds a bunch of metadata, which is really cool and useful, I think. Like how much material is used and how long the print should take. Yeah, and then you can you can save it as a draft and publish it later. Or I usually just publish now. It's just so easy and straightforward and professional. I mean, would be the one word I would probably use. I just love the way it's displayed. I love how you can open the files in a 3D viewer. That's a really cool feature. Once again, just everything is really well designed for both users and creators. And yeah, that really appeals to me. And everything's big and legible, uh, well organized. Yeah, overall, I feel like it's a good site, and it's a little bit better than the others and a little less commercial centric, which is why I ultimately chose it. Oh yeah, now what was that thing I was gonna talk about? Oh yeah, file names. So yeah, the promotional side of the video is over. Of course, always you should use your own best judgment about what site you want to host all your models on. For me, it's just so convenient and easy, and I am completely satisfied with printables. So I don't feel like I need to go anywhere else. Yeah, okay, file names. This is something that took me years and years and years and years to finally iron out. Specifically, like versioning control. I like to do it manually. There's a lot of automated tools that can allow. Let me see if I can zoom in here. Yeah, so there's a lot of tools that automate version control, but I like to do it manually. And so usually when I make a major change, you see the how these sequentially, like this is the first file, right? And I titled it. Oh, that's not useful. Let me move this over so you can actually see what I'm talking about. So this is the first file, and basically I just put in the full um, date, including the time. That's these last 2-digit slots in 24-hour time format. And then I put the title all with dashes. The dashes are useful because when you're saving files in Windows, you can just double click really quickly to select these fields if you want to make a change. For me, I'm usually clicking on this one and just updating with the current time when I create the next model. So like, here's version 1. I make the most basic foundation for the model, and then like, when I make the next major transitional change, I'm going to save one. For me, it's really optimized because like a lot of versioning controls, they're saving like constantly, or they're using some kind of AI or something to decide when a good save point is. But when I am working, I get to decide. And for me, when I make a significant change, I know when it's a point of no return, and undo isn't gonna help me out really. So, and then I don't end up with like 1,000 files. Like some things, of course, I'm gonna end up with a lot more. And then just quite simply, all I do is I glance at my clock down on my desktop, and I put in the current time. And one of the really great fringe benefits is I can tell exactly how long I've spent on a model. So like, I started it at 1:20 today, and then basically I finished at 1:43. So, it took me over 20 minutes, a little 23 minutes or so to make this model, and that's kind of cool to be able to like accurately determine exactly how much time I spent. And the organization just really clear, I think. And you never have to worry about what model is the most recent. I sort by date modified, and and then basically it helps me keep really well organized. And yeah, what else? Another thing is it maintains a consistent width of the title, which is really useful to me because when you're scanning really quickly, it just makes it so much easier to read. It's more highly legible because you don't have final dash final parentheses finally final model, like all this extra crap at the end. You just look at the date code, and it's redundant. That is something that's really precious to me because a lot of times these Windows date codes that are just put in by the system, whether it's the creation date or the modification date or whatever, they can be misleading, or they can be false, like if you're copying files or whatever. So like these can change, but when you put it in the file name, it's never going to change. You know exactly when it was because you put it in. And when you sort by name, it of course is going to go by the first chunk of information in the file name, and that's the date code. So that's going to you know sort that chronologically in a way that is more reliable than using this date modified field. So yeah, as always, everyone has their own like ways of organizing their data and stuff, and naming their files, conventions, and so forth that they come up with on their own. But for me personally, I think it's like a really good system that, as I said, it took me years and years to really refine the system down to the point where I felt like my management of my assets was pretty much as streamlined as it's ever going to be. So I don't know. It just might save some people some time if they're still struggling with their own methods. So yeah, that's all I have to say on this topic for now. And thanks for watching. And definitely consider printables.com if you're going to be creating your own 3D printing files and you want somewhere to upload, showcase, share, etc. It's a kick-ass site, and it has the NeoToy stamp of approval. All right, thanks for watching, guys, and take care.